Yes, hello viewers. Yes, this is Ranjana ma'am, and you are watching Yes, yours as well as my channel. So you all must be waiting eagerly for this one, the second part of Act 4 Scene 3, and I had promised that I will come up soon with it, but sorry for being a bit late. Anyway, but better late than never. Okay, so you know what's coming. Before we start, if you have not subscribed to my channel up till now, please do, and don't forget to press the like button after having viewed. The likes are so few. So anyway, what are we waiting for? Let's start. So we had completed the first part where Malcolm talks about the King of England and his divine grace and the gracefulness of the king. By grace, I had said it's not the graceful we commonly talk of, it's the grace of God on him. So after that, we are to resume from where Ross enters. So enter Ross. Macduff, see who comes here. So Macduff tells Malcolm, see who comes here. So who has come? Just see. Malcolm, my countryman, but yet I know him not. So Malcolm has been away from Scotland for quite some time. So he forgets, actually he is unable to identify. He knows this is a Scottish person. So he is my countryman, but I cannot identify him. Macduff, my ever gentle cousin, welcome hither. So Macduff and Ross, they are cousins, so he welcomes Ross. Malcolm, I know him now. So when Ross comes quite close to Malcolm, then Malcolm recognizes him. I know him now. Good God, betimes remove the means that makes us strangers. So once Ross comes closer, then Malcolm remembers, oh, this is Ross. So he says, oh God, please remove the causes which makes friends strangers. Remember, Macduff was very loyal to the king, or rather he is very loyal to the kingdom, not the usurper. He is loyal, he was loyal to Duncan, he is still loyal to Duncan and to Malcolm. And that is why, remember Ross and Lennox. So King had sent Ross to inform Macbeth about the title of Corder being conferred upon him. So Ross was also very close to King Duncan. So he has come here. Ross, sir, amen. So he also says amen, that may it be so. So Malcolm makes a wish that remove the causes which makes us strangers, which makes friends strangers. So he says, may it be so, amen. Stand Scotland where it did. So Macduff is asking from Ross the condition of Scotland when he had left Scotland. So Ross, what does he say? Alas, poor country, almost afraid to know itself, it cannot be called our mother, but our grave, where nothing but who knows nothing is once seen to smile, where sighs and groans and shrieks that rent the air are made, not marked, where violent sorrow seems a modern ecstasy, the dead man's knell is there scarce asked for who, and good men's lives expire before the flowers in their caps, dying or ere they sicken. So Scotland is in a terrible condition. So Ross tells, my country, it's in misery. Scotland is afraid to think of its own misery. It's in such a miserable situation. It is not our motherland. It has become our graveyard, where no one is seen to smile except ignorant ones who are not aware of the situation. They only seem to smile and no one else. So sighs, groans and shrieks, they fill the air. They are heard, but they are not noticed. The sighs of people, the groans of people, shrieks of people have become so common that no one notices them. This country, Scotland, has become a country where violent sorrow has become a commonplace of emotion. And when a death bell or knell is rung, it doesn't make people curious as to who has died, because it is an everyday happening. And good men die before the flower on their caps fade away in their buds. So the good men die before the flowers on their buds dry up. So they die before they fall ill. So when do men fall ill? When they are old. But before they become old, they die. Macduff, oh relation too nice and yet too true. So he tells that this report is too precise and yet this is the truth. Malcolm, what's the newest grief? So Malcolm wants to know which is the newest cause of atrocity, what is the newest atrocity that has been committed. That of an hour's age, that hissed the speaker. Each minute teemed a new one. So Ross says that every atrocity becomes a stale news at the end of an hour. That means every hour some new atrocities are committed. So the last hour's atrocity becomes a stale one. Why? Because this hour another new atrocity has been committed. So every minute brings a new calamity. How does my wife? This is Macduff asking. Why? Well, so Ross doesn't know how to answer. So first he doesn't tell the truth. He says, why, she's well. And all my children? Well too. The tyrant has not battered at their peace. So Macbeth has not troubled their peace. No, they were well at peace when I did leave them. So when I left them, they were quite at peace. Be not a niggard of your speech. How goes it? So Macduff understands there is something fishy. Ross is trying to conceal something. So what does he say? That don't speak in such a reticent manner. Tell me, how is everything? So now what does Ross say? When I came hither to transport the tidings which I have heavily borne, there ran a rumour of many worthy fellows that were out, which was to my belief witnessed the rather, for that I saw the tyrant's power afoot. Now is the time of help. Your eye in Scotland would create soldiers, make our women fight to doff their dire distress. So Ross tells, when I came here to convey the news, then which I have brought with a heavy heart. What is the news? The news of Macduff's family being brutally slaughtered. So this is the news which he had come here to convey. And while he was on his way, what rumor did he hear? That many noblemen, they had revolted against Macbeth. And he felt that the rumor, many times rumors are not believed, but he felt this rumor is credible, it should be believed, because he saw Macbeth's soldiers also marching, moving about, Macbeth's army, so to quell the rebellion. So he tells Malcolm and Macduff that this is the right time for you to help Scotland. When you go to Scotland, your presence in Scotland would make people feel inspired, or the people will get inspired on seeing you. The king's son Malcolm, the rightful heir to the throne, has come, so let us support him. So it will inspire the common people to take up arms. Even our women would fight to remove the terrible condition of Scotland. Malcolm, be it their comfort, we are coming thither. Gracious England has lent us good Seward and 10,000 men, an older and a better soldier none that Christendom gives out. So Malcolm has good news. He says that Let them find peace in the fact that we are going to Scotland. The king, noble king of England, has given us or helped us with worthy Seward and 10,000 soldiers. Seward is Malcolm's cousin, or rather I think old Seward is Malcolm's uncle and young Seward is Malcolm's cousin. So king has allowed Seward, the Earl of Northumberland, to join Malcolm to Scotland with an army of 10,000 soldiers. So whole of Christendom cannot provide a better and more experienced soldier than old Seward. Would I could answer this comfort with the like, but I have words that would be howled out in the desert air, where hearing should not latch them. So Ross says that if only I could also have offered, Malcolm offers him a comfortable news which would bring comfort to him and the people of Scotland. But Ross has not brought a news which will give comfort to anyone. So he says, I just wish I could have also given you a similar comforting news. But I have such a terrible news which should be howled in the desert. Why? Because no one will be able to hear it. That means this news is not fit for human ears. It's so terrible. What concern they? The general cause, or is it a free grief due to some single breast? So Macduff suspects something wrong. So he says, this horrible news which you wish to impart, does it concern the general people, or is it some personal grief affecting only one person, one single individual? No mind that's honest, but in it sheds some woe, though the main part pertains to you alone. So now Ross says that the sad news will be shared by everyone, but it mainly concerns you. If it be mine, keep it not from me, quickly let me have it. So he says, if it is my news, if the sad news is for me, so speak it out fast. Let not your ears despise my tongue forever, which shall possess them with the heaviest sound that ever yet they heard. So now Ross says that let your ears not be angry or not hate my tongue for speaking them out, for uttering this news out. My tongue will speak out the saddest news that they have ever heard. Macduff, I guess at it. So he guesses something very horrible has happened to my wife and children. Ross, your castle is surprised, your wife and babes savagely slaughtered. To relate the manner whereon the quarry of these murdered deer to add the death of you. So Ross says that your castle has been raided suddenly, your wife and children have been very cruelly murdered, and if I were to give you details about the way in which they were murdered, it might result in your death. Malcolm, merciful heaven. And then he notices Macduff pulling his hat to cover up his eyes. His eyes are filled with tears and he doesn't want to show it, so he pulls his hat towards his eyes. So Malcolm notices this, and what does he say? What man, never pull your hat upon your brows. Give sorrow words. The grief that does not speak whispers the overfraught heart and bids it break. So Malcolm is against his suppressing the sorrow or trying to suppress his tears or hide his tears. So he says, why man, don't pull your hat and hide your face. Give words. Give words to your sorrow. That means speak out your sorrow. Because when sorrow is not expressed, it speaks to the overburdened heart, and as a result, the heart breaks. That means the heart gets affected. So rather speak out your sorrow than trying to suppress it. Macduff, my children too. Wife, children, servants, all. So not only your children, your wife, children, servants, everyone. that could be found. So whoever were in your castle, all of them, no one spared. And I must be from thence. So, and I was away from them. My wife killed too. So they have killed my wife also, I have said. Malcolm, be comforted. Let's make us medicines of our great revenge to cure this deadly grief. So Malcolm tries to comfort Macduff, and he says that to cure our miserable grief, let us use revenge. That means he urges Macduff to revenge in order to, because he feels this is the only remedy for your sadness. The only remedy for your sadness is to take revenge. Macduff, he has no children. All my pretty ones, did you say all? Oh hell kite, all. What, my pretty chickens and their dam at one fell swoop? So Macduff is really heartbroken. So he has no children. This has reference to Macbeth. It was said that Macbeth had no children. That is why he was so jealous when the witches had said that Banquo will not be king, but his children and his descendants will be kings. So not as happy as Macbeth, but yet happier. You will not be king, but you will be father to a line of kings. So Macbeth had no children. So he had said that, did I kill Duncan so that Banquo's children should rule? So we get to know that Macbeth has no children. So he feels that since he had no children, he doesn't know what it is to be a father, and that is why he got my children killed. All my pretty ones. Did you say all? So all of them killed, not even one spared. Oh hell kite. So he calls him the kite. Kite is a bird of prey. So he says that this kite, Macbeth, is a kite of hell. And so these birds of prey, they are predators and they prey upon the small ones, small birds. So what, all my pretty chickens and their dams. So all my pretty birds, that means all my pretty children and their mother, killed in one cruel stroke. Malcolm, dispute it like a man, so fight it out like a man. I shall do so, yes, I will do so, but I must feel it as a man. Yes, I will fight it like a man, but I cannot forget, but I must feel it. Let me feel it also like a man. I cannot but remember such things were that were most precious to me. So they were so dear to me, and I cannot forget it that they are no longer alive. Did heaven look on and would not take their part? So he says, what was heaven doing? Heaven looking upon them when they were being murdered and did nothing to help them. Sinful Macduff, they were all struck for thee. And then he curses himself that they were killed not on account of their fault, but because of you. You are sinful, and that is why your children and wife suffered. Not that I am, not for their own demerits, but for mine fell slaughter on their souls. So they died because of me, not for their fault, but for mine. Heaven rest them now. So heaven, let them rest in peace now. Malcolm, be this the whetstone of your sword. Let grief convert to anger. Blunt not the heart. Enrage it. So that is what he must be doing. After the death of his father, was forced to leave his own kingdom, of which he was supposed to, the crown which he was supposed to inherit. He was forced to leave it all and run away. So he has given his sorrow the anger that is it needed to rise against this tyrant. So he suggests the same to Macduff. So he says, be this the whetstone of your sword. So let this sadness sharpen your desire for revenge. Let grief convert to anger. Let your sadness change into anger. Blunt not the heart, engage it. So, use your sorrow to sharpen, or yes, use your sorrow to sharpen your desire for revenge. Don't make it blunt. Macduff, oh, I could play the woman with my eyes and braggart with my tongue. But gentle heavens, cut short all intermission, front to front. Bring thou this fiend of Scotland and myself within my sword's length, set him. If he escape, heaven forgive him too. So Macduff says, if only I could cry like a woman and at the same time shout threats of revenge like a man. And then he says, but gentle God, cut short this period of intermission between the uttering of my revenge and the carrying it out. At this moment he is uttering his revenge, and carrying it out will take place only when he reaches Scotland and comes face to face with Macbeth. So he wants this interim period to be cut short. That means he doesn't want to wait anymore, but to immediately start for Scotland, so that Macbeth comes under the reach of his sword, so that he is able to fight Macbeth face to face. And after that, if Macbeth escapes him, or his sword, Macduff's sword is unable to kill Macbeth, Macbeth escapes him, in that case may the gods forgive him. That means if I am unable to kill him, I am as bad as he, because I have not been able to revenge for the death of my children and wife. This tune goes manly. Who says this? Malcolm. Come, go we to the king, our power is ready, our lack is nothing but our leave. Macbeth is ripe for shaking, and the powers above put on their instruments. Receive what cheer you may, the night is long that never finds the day. So Malcolm, he tells, yes, this is a manly way of speaking. And he tells them, come, let us go and go to the king and take leave of him, because we are ready to leave. Our army is all ready. We just need to take his permission to leave the country. And it is now the right time for Macbeth to fall to the ground. And the gods in heaven, they are also urging us to carry out our plans. So try to be as cheerful as possible. Even the longest night doesn't remain forever. It gives way to happiness of daylight. The longest night of suffering will not remain forever. It may be the longest night of suffering, but it will not be there for long. And happiness, daylight will come in the form of happiness. That means darkness will be dispelled, darkness of suffering will be displaced, and happiness will come in the form of a new morning. So this is where this scene comes to an end, and with this our Act 4 comes to an end. And many of you have been complaining that, ma'am, our pre-boards are so close, please complete Macbeth. So I'll try my best. And before I end, I just want to tell you that some of you are asking me a lot of questions, so you seem to be confused. So in that case, I can only suggest that if you are so confused, you can join my English coaching, where I will be discussing the pre-board papers of different schools. So yes, that's it. If you want, you can always join. So I'll give my WhatsApp number at the end of this video, so you can text or call me. Rather, I would suggest first you text and then only call me. Bye for the time being.